customers are waiting for their projects to be done, right? They call you today, they're looking for it tomorrow.
It's very unpredictable. The tools and machines are not.
800 square feet by hand. It's total of 16 labor hours, but using the multi-6, you're looking at 2 hours. That's a saving of 12 hours, $96,000 a year in savings.
Dude. So not only does your production go up, but your quality of your output goes up as well. Why would you go work somewhere else? You get to operate a machine all day, every day. It's fantastic.
We need to be thinking outside the box. You no longer have guys that are doing roofing using a hammer and nails, they're using air nailers. So things change.
How do you turn $30,000 into $1 million? That's it right there. This episode is brought to you by Hardscaper.com. The Hardscaper mission is to empower industry professionals with the skills, inspiration, and confidence they need to take their businesses to new heights. Permeable pavement is not a trend and it's not going away. In fact, it's becoming more and more a requirement. Cities, counties, states, provinces, they're all mandating it because stormwater is becoming every property owner's problem. And where there's a problem, there's an opportunity. The contractors who know how to solve that will win the work. The segmental permeable pavement course on hardscaper.com shows you how these systems actually work. On-demand video, a short quiz after each segment, a certificate when you finish. You can use that certificate in your client conversations, and you can use the training to level up your crew. All of this is free, along with a bunch of other courses, so why not get started now at hardscaper.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Hardscape Growth Show. I'm your host, Alex from TechnoBlock, and today we are talking about something that is incredibly important for the future of our industry, for the future of your company, and the future of your ability to actually make money in this business. Hardscape crews are rolling. It is busy. The warmer weather is here, and with warmer weather means a lot of pavers are going in the ground, but that also means that our production rates are fluctuating. At Showcase earlier this year, from January through to April, when we were touring the country and we had over 13,500 contractors come out to our events, one of the things that we talked about was the importance of mechanical installation and how it helps you maintain consistent production rates in addition to boosting your production rates. Why does this matter? When it's really hot out, we had the data and we showed it to people. And it's true, you can lose up to 65% of your production hours, let alone the fact that we often don't bid with that in mind. We're certainly not planning for it from our labor output and our actual production capacity throughout the year. And it's something that we really have to keep in mind, because as the seasons change and as the weather changes, our output and our production changes. And we need to be aware of that, and we need to be trying to address that. Why am I talking about this? Why is this so important? It's so important because the market is growing. The demand for paving stones across North America is factually growing. If you're not experiencing that, that could be a combination of things that are market specific or more likely company specific. Because I don't care what your actual situation appears to be. The data shows us that consumption of paving stones per capita across Canada, across the United States, is growing year over year. And if you're not growing with that or in excess of that, well, you need to listen to the rest of this conversation, because we're going to be talking about what do we do from an operational or a production standpoint to put us in position to capitalize on that growth that's going to be continuing at least from now to the end of the decade. And if you believe like me in the future of our industry for the next 100 years. So what are we going to do about this? To address this topic, we're talking with Phil and Caleb from Pave Tool. They don't need any introduction. If you've been listening to the show, you know Pave Tool, you know what these guys do. They basically solve every pain point imaginable for hardscapers across North America and even the world. Phil has invented, 1.5 million tools with a ton of patents under his belt. Caleb is coming in as the next generation, bringing a lot of field experience, having worked on the Baylor Brothers crews as well, and using the tools that Phil invented. So these guys know what they're talking about. They're not just trying to sell stuff, like they are actually walking the walk, and that's why they're on the show. So welcome, guys, and let's get into it.
Thank you. Well, and you had brought out a good point, Alex, right? Pain to contractors. Obviously, being contractors ourselves, we felt it. Work's probably selling like crazy now. Like you said, if it's not, it should be. Schedules are filling up. Customers are waiting for their projects to be done, right? They call you today. They're looking for it tomorrow. It's an Amazon world we live on. They just want it immediately. And crews are getting worn down. It's starting to get warm out there. Things are really burning guys up. The heat's burning people up. And the morale is starting to slip. It's starting to get to where we're putting a lot of pressure to get all this work done as fast as we possibly can. And they're pushing back a little bit, right? So I think for a contractor right now, that's what we're feeling. We're feeling a lot of that pushback. We're feeling a lot of that pain, the frustrations of trying to install more with the same amount of people and expecting different results.
I'll just interject here just a little bit, but I know just for myself, that was always the hardest part, was just hiring the right people for the job and trying to get the guys boosted up with their morale and being on the job site. And again, you're dealing with that extreme heat. It definitely can be a drawback. And right now we have contractors calling in here. They have tremendous workloads and yet they can't find the help. And these guys are about in tears. You've got big construction guys about in tears. It's really something to observe because these guys have a lot of pain and they're not sure how they're going to get their project from A to Z with the labor that they're dealing with right now today.
Yeah.
So it is real.
It's a real problem. It's a hell of a feeling. Like you go from having the stress of selling the work. Now the work is sold and you have the stress of trying to deliver the work and the calendar is working against you and the weather is working against you and you just can't find people. You're willing to pay. You just can't find them. And we've had plenty of episodes talking about how to position yourself to get better people and more people to come to you, but it's still very variable. It's very unpredictable. But tools and machines are not.
Right. Well, and I think too, when you throw most responses to a contractor when they're feeling this pain is let's throw another guy at it. Let's get another guy. Let's get a guy to help us at least haul the pavers to take out that pain of us having to do that. And obviously with that becomes payroll, workman's comp, the recruiting, the training. If you're trying to get them on board, if you don't have a good SOP, you don't have good systems to train and educate the guys to come on board, it's super time consuming. The owners in the trenches trying to get them onboarded and trained. And it's time consuming.
Yeah, it's usually 2 to 3 months before you can get an employee up and running to his full potential.
Yeah. Well, 2 or 3 months from now, we're pretty deep into the season. So maybe not the best solution. So what do we do? What do we do? What are we talking about here?
So one thing that's really unique, and you're seeing it, we're starting to see some of these rock stars across the country and Canada, obviously, of that are implementing equipment into their installation process. And that's really what we want to talk about today is implementing the equipment. Obviously, equipment shows up every day, doesn't get sick, doesn't have issues, doesn't have problems. And we're seeing it. We're seeing how that can really boost profitability and morale. So we'll do a little bit of a deep dive today and get into some numbers on just what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so we're going to talk about the multi-6. It's a layer clamp. It picks a whole layer of pavers off the pallet, installs it mechanically, or we can use it for a fronting application. Fronting meaning from the pallet over to the guys installing, using backpacks to set it into place. So really, the clamp can be used in 2 different ways. And so I think it will run through the math as to what you might be doing now. And I don't know specifics as to what each individual contractor is doing, but I think it's important that you take this math that we're going to lay out here, utilize it within your own business and figure out your actual numbers. But on a typical application with contractors installing by hand, say we take an 800 square foot patio. That's pretty typical in the market as far as a residential application is an 800 square foot patio in the backyard.
Yep.
It's a 2-man crew. Takes 8 hours to install, which is a total of 16 labor hours worth of their time to install that 800 square feet.
And this is just the laying?
This is laying by hand. This is what people are typically doing right now.
It's a separate step. Installing edge restraint is a separate step. Sanding joints is a separate step.
Correct.
Cutting is a separate step. This is
And
just
I would encourage those of you that are listening, put your own math in here. Again, I've seen these extremes. I've seen numbers much greater than this as far as more efficient, and yet I've seen them less efficient. So we try to get an average number, kind of what we're seeing in our industry as far as what installation per square foot per hour is.
But 2 guys or girls, 2 people.
Yeah.
8 hours, 800 square feet. So it's a work day.
That's correct.
Correct.
Right.
So 800 square foot in that work day. And that's just, again, like you said, just to make sure that we're true on this is just the install, the bulk laying of the products. It's not the screeding. It's not the edge restraint, all those things that you'd mentioned. So just the laying part of it. So we take those 16 hours and, what are you billing out at? Is it 80? Is it 100? Whatever it might be. For easy math, we just use 100. And that's average.
Yeah.
Different markets might be 80. Other markets
what
might
I
be
pay
120.
my people plus the overhead recovery plus workman's comp plus what I should be, or what it's costing me to have a guy or a girl on site.
Right. Exactly. So to do that, 800 square feet by hand, it's $1,600 of labor. All right. So we have that $1,600 worth of labor cost associated to installing by hand.
Yeah.
If we take that same application, 800 square feet, the same 2 people installing, but using the multi-6 to actually install the product mechanically, you're looking at 2 hours of install time, 4 hours of total labor. So the 2 people, 4 hours total. That's a saving of 12 hours. So you recovered 12 hours worth of your labor.
That's huge from like multiple perspectives. At $100 an hour, that's $1,200 that could go straight to my margin, or it could be used to reduce the sale price. There's a financial component, but there's also whatever the opposite of an opportunity cost is, because that 12 labor hours, now I could be doing more output. So if I can save 12 hours, even if it's just 12 labor hours a week times 40 weeks, that's 12 times 4, 48. That's 480 labor hours that are saved across a year. 480 labor hours divided by 8-hour work shifts is 60 work shifts. Divided by those same 2 people is 30 days. I just gained a month.
So So I guess that's the point we're trying to make today is we need to be thinking outside the box. You no longer have guys that are doing roofing using a hammer and nails. They're using air nailers. So things change. In our industry, it's very slow to change. We're definitely trying every day to make things easier for contractors. And yet this is a tool that I firmly believe in for sure. I think it is a way of the future. And you are going to get to see contractors being more efficient with this. Now, again, that 800 square feet that we base this on was Teco's brand new Blue 60, which can now be laid mechanically. It's an X-less pattern, and it is staggering. It really is a unique paver that you can lay quickly, efficiently, and it looks like it was hand laid.
Yep.
And it really has
pattern was expressly made to be set by a machine.
Correct.
And not have the X's, not have the 4 corners, whatever you call them, not have super long bond lines either. It's super well executed in terms of a laying pattern. And it's actually something that we did. That's why I'm wearing the hat today, because this hat that I'm wearing is from my buddy Justin White in California. He and his company did that paver race that we did together last year. So we did, okay, let's lay 500 square feet by hand. Let's lay 500 square feet with the multi-6, and it wasn't even close. And we have, I'll put the link to that information or that video in the description of the episode here. So if you want to go check it out,
make sure you check out the quality on that too.
Yeah,
that was one thing. Obviously, they were just racing, trying to beat the machine. But there was X's, there was the lines weren't straight.
Yeah, no,
and
they were just worried about getting square footage down, period.
Yeah,
but
it was
on the machine side, the pattern is executed perfectly every time because the machine is just doing what the machine does. And
it's very unique because you're laying basically a 3x4, just rough math. It's 39 by 45.5 inches. But it's perfectly square. And every time you set that, it keeps really square. So even that job out there, we snapped one chalk line on that whole job and it was laid like perfect. You look at those lines,
was crazy. And it was hot
straight.
out. It was hot out. I don't know why those guys decided to wear hoodies that day. They were insistent, but it was hot. I was sweating there in a polo watching them.
Yeah.
So the labor savings is a big component. Obviously, the math speaks for itself. How does it work from an investment standpoint? Like I have to buy the equipment. The equipment isn't cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than a single employee. What are the other things I need to keep in mind from a financial standpoint before we move into like other ways I can use the machine? Because I think just that alone is compelling enough math to say like I should be investing in one of these, and then we can determine from there kind of what the threshold is for a business where it makes sense to make that kind of investment as well. Let's make sure we cover that too.
So it's really not about how much it costs; it's about how much it saves.
So when you
great sales pitch, Phil.
Yeah.
So when you go and say you do that typical 800 square foot project, right? And you do one of those a week.
Yeah.
That's pretty average for a contractor to do an 800 square foot project a week, right? Because then again, the cutting and the other things that are associated to it.
Exactly. I got to start the job. I got to rip everything out. I got to excavate. I got to compact and amend my subgrade, put my base in. That's if I'm just deploying a 2-man crew all the time, it's a couple days to get to the point where I'm ready to lay pavers.
Right. So if we do that same 800 square feet of installs mechanically, and we do a project a week. So if we do 800 square feet every week in a savings of $1,200, $2,400 if we include the economic impact. So essentially, like we had talked about, it saves $1,200 worth of labor, and then an additional $1,200 because
the opportunity costs.
You could be on the next project.
Right.
So if we take that $2,400 and we do one of those a week for 40 weeks, it's an average year for contractors, right, to work 40 weeks. So 40 times the $2,400 is $96,000 a year in savings.
Dude.
That's a big number.
$96,000 in savings. You take the cost of the clamp at $30,000.
Yeah.
So you could subtract, if we wanted to say, well, is it worth it in 1 year worth of my time? You could say $96,000 minus the cost of the clamp. By the time you get it set up, everything's all ready to go. You profit $66,000 in additional.
So let's make round numbers. I could save $100,000. I could save, after it's all said and done, in the first year, I want to recover 100% of the cost. There's $60,000 net in my pocket right there. If the average contractor is making 10% on a job because they've got their stuff dialed and like they're making a clean 10%, that's $600,000 worth of sales that you would have to make to get that same extra $60,000 in the bank. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. For a lot of guys, that's growing your business by 20, 30, 40%. The math really starts to make sense when you start looking at it from those different perspectives. On a per job basis, wow, really interesting. Over the span of a year, if I have a lot of jobs that are around that size, and let's face it, a lot of companies do that, it can be very lucrative. And then on top of that, if that's the type of job that you're targeting, you market to that, you sell to that, you design to that, and you keep optimizing around the fact that you can install this way, you can really start to get very profitable very quickly.
Right.
And remove a lot of the headaches that would come with typically growing at that rate and growing your profits at that rate as well. Because it gets, like, the more you want to grow, the harder that work is and the more complex it gets. That's why you're at the size you are now. If it was easy to get to twice your size, you'd already be there. This is one of the ways that puts that money in your bank account without having to increase the full scope of your business overnight. This episode is brought to you by Pave Tool and the Optimus Multi 6, the clamp that has changed paver laying for good. Up to 13 square feet every 45 seconds with a 2-person crew? Are you kidding me? Everyone thinks this is for commercial or municipal work. It's not. The big wins are residential. All you need is a couple hundred square feet to see the difference. Your excavator's already on site. Your crew's pumping out square footage like never before, and that's because the machine does the heavy lifting and does it consistently every single day. Hundreds of contractors have already made the investment. Do not fall behind. Check out the Optimus Multi 6 at pavetool.com. We've been talking about this thing for years, but I think right there, that last bit of math, that 100,000 basically of savings over a year, I hadn't considered it to that perspective. That's huge.
Another thing I want to bring into this is that that's not even considering the fatigue that it takes to, if you were to hand lay that. So 80% of our energy goes into hauling the paver from pallet to pavement. So 80% of your energy is used hauling pavers. So you just think about how that changes the morale. It allows all that energy to get put back into the creative side of the installation, where all of a sudden you're not so fatigued and worn down and frustrated and just beat. Mm-hmm. You can hardly pick your head up. This changes that whole morale. All of a sudden, all the heavy lifting is done with machines. Yeah. All of a sudden, you got plenty of energy to go do that creative side and getting your curves, your cuts, and whatnot.
Well, even just from a quality of execution standpoint. Like we talked about the laying patterns and the squareness, but not every job is going to be a perfect square. So I'm going to lay, let's say 80, 90% of the job with the machine, and then I'll complete by hand and I'll finish my cuts and I'll get my curves and my inlays and all that stuff if I'm doing really creative work. But all that it's good enough. All that good enough stuff comes from you being tired.
Right.
No one's actually if it was fresh in the morning, you'd be like, nah, I'm going to redo that cut. But when it's 4 p.m. and you've just been carrying these 60, 70, 80 pound slabs back and forth all day, you're like, forget it. It's fine. Just sweep more sand in. Right. So that's a very valid point. So not only does your production go up, but your quality of your output goes up as well.
Yeah. And as you all know, my saying is success is life after work. And I know I've seen it my whole life, just the fatigue and the wear down. And it would always make me smile when guys would go do something after work and have the energy to do something after work when we were using mechanics to lay product. Mm-hmm. It just made a big, huge difference. We had guys on softball leagues and guys that would go do sports after work or go do something with their family. To me, that's success. Mm-hmm. Where a lot of our people in our industry, they get done with work and they can hardly pick their head up. They're just, they're done.
No, you definitely, the tools that you have brought to the market are humanizing. I'm not sure if that's a word, but I'm using it. They're humanizing they're humanizing our industry, which I think is very, it's very valuable, but it's also it's a very noble pursuit too. Like you guys do what you do because you've done it and you've worked with so many people and you care about those people that you're genuinely trying to make those lives better. And it manifests itself in the form of tools and equipment that people need to buy. But you also need to sell things to have a business that you can keep running to keep helping people. But you guys just demonstrated, it helps so much. It saves me so much money. It saves me so much trouble, so much pain, so much backache, so much headaches of trying to find more people. It's kind of a no-brainer unless there are situations where it's not. So that's what I'd like to talk about is when does it not make sense? And maybe it's very rare, but I'm sure if I need to attach this to an excavator and that excavator needs to weigh at least 7,000 pounds, and ideally I have 2 hydraulic circuits on that excavator, right off the bat, I feel like that's drawing a line in the sand of it's not really for these jobs, it's more for those jobs. So can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah. Yeah. So, we could go back to the math and we could start back there again and say, okay, well, how many projects do you do a year and what's the average square footage? And you can work it that way and say, okay, well, when is it worth and when would it pay off the $30,000 clamp?
Yeah.
Then obviously, like you said, project specific, what projects does it work on? Right. And that's the biggest question. What patterns can you lay with it? What size project would you even bring it out on? And ultimately it depends on what you have. Like if you're currently set up with an excavator, you have an excavator on site, and you're excavating the project with it, and then you park it off to the side and you don't use it until you mobilize it to the next job. If you could utilize that with the clamp, you would lay. Contractors are typically bringing it out even if it's a 200, 300 square foot project.
Really?
Because they're able to take the excavator sitting there. You hook up the clamp. It takes about 5-10 minutes. If you're laying similar products every day, like a Blue 60 or 6.5 by 13s on a running bond, or even really any product on the market that you can pick with the clamp, which we can get into a little bit more of that detail. But if you can pick that, right, and set it in place in the 200 square foot, it's 4 pallets.
What you're saying is like, it doesn't matter the size of the job necessarily. It's more, do I have an excavator on site for that job? If the answer is yes, then why would I subject myself to taking longer to lay the pavers if I don't have to? So the only real reason I wouldn't consider laying mechanically, or at least using the clamp in the installation process, is if I don't have the excavator on site.
Yeah. Because then if you're mobilizing,
scenario, sorry, go ahead.
If you're mobilizing that just specifically to lay, you got to weigh that out, right?
That would be like, okay, this is a very big project. It makes sense for me to do that. But typically, especially the audience of this show, that's not the case. My excavator's there because we dug out the job. And then
keep in mind,
I can't go and dig out the next job. I'm the same guy. I got to finish this one.
Yes.
And keep in mind, each one of those pallets weighs 3,500 pounds. So even on 200 square feet, you're basically 7,000 pounds worth of material that you're saving on your back.
Yeah, it's not because it's 200 square feet that it's less work.
Right.
Less square footage, but I mean, it's still as physically exerting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's get to the point, like what you were saying with the, I guess it's fronting really, because you were saying like, there are pavers that I can lay mechanically straight off the pallet, just whoop, drop it down. It's done. I have little to nothing to do. And then there's others where like, it's not produced in a pattern. Fronting means I'm taking that layer and I'm bringing it to the people putting it in the ground. I'm still saving a ton of time and energy there. I'm bringing 10 to 12 square feet right to the guy's feet.
Correct.
So typically in our industry, you have 2 people hauling, 1 person installing. That's kind of been pretty standard for our industry. So now if you could eliminate that 1 person hauling, now you got 1 person on an excavator. He's literally grabbing a layer and just bringing it over to that installer. And the installer using a T-handle, or you can have 2 T-handles and the guy's installing mechanically. So it totally reverses that. So it's still speeding up your process, just incredible, and alleviates all that weight being hauled by hand.
It's pretty wild though.
It's over 90% of products can be picked by a layer. So almost every product that TechnoBlock produces can be picked with the clamp and at least used for fronting to bring to the installer. And again, keep in mind that's 80% of your energy. So that's a staggering number. And again, when you talk about morale, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and what's cool is that shift of what you said, where like if you're doing it by hand, you got 2 guys hauling, 1 guy installing. If you're laying by machine, you could cut 1 guy if you needed to, which means you can deploy that guy on something else, or you can have 2 guys installing, 1 guy hauling. Like you're putting more resources on the part that actually makes you the money.
100%.
Which is like when you think about it from that perspective, while we're talking specifically about mechanical installation of paving stones and paving slabs, I think it's worth considering from the 360 perspective of your business, that philosophy. Where are the resources deployed the most? And is that in the things that are of the greatest value to your customers and to your business? And I think when you look at your business through that lens or through that filter, you're going to spot all kinds of things that like, really, this isn't the most important thing. This isn't the most valuable thing that I should be working on, or that my foreman should be doing, or that my office admin should be doing. Maybe I should be using something else. Maybe I should be delegating this to someone else. Maybe I should be using a different tool or a piece of software or a piece of technology. Maybe I should be hiring like a virtual assistant to handle these things, because these things do not make me the most money compared to those things. And they're holding me back from doing more of those things. And that philosophy applies to any business, to any role. And what's really cool is, like, in this case, we're talking about it from the most tangible part, the part that we see, this part that we touch and we feel, which is the install. And it's the part that the customers see. But I think it's just it's a little bit of a sidebar thought there, but I think it's just, it totally makes sense. If you're trying to build a business for the future, not just surviving today, but being able to capitalize on every opportunity that will come down the road, and there will be many, you need to be positioning yourself with this type of stuff. So like the clamp is one tool, and it helps from the installation, it helps from the fronting. Are there other tools or other pieces of equipment that are similar in this vein that I need to be thinking about, or that work in conjunction with all this, that are part of like that same thought process?
That's really what Phil did with all of his tools and products. He had a small labor pool, and you could talk into this more, but with that small labor pool and with new people coming on board and training and getting them up to speed so they can do a task of a skilled person within the first couple of weeks of coming on board, that's really where Phil created a lot of these tools. I mean, you could think of some of the most simple tools and products that we have, one being the gauge. It does the math to figure out what height you need to be at for your base material and your bedding material. It's simple. It's a very small tool, but it's something that you can give to someone that just started last week, and they can do the task of a skilled person that's been doing it for years. And ultimately, that's all the tools go back to that same exact mentality between the clamps, the marking tools and equipment that we've created, all to simplify tasks that have taken a skilled person years to accomplish and get really good at. Take a tool, give it to a guy, and he can use it. I mean, scribes, parallel marking gauge, all of those things that was the mindset behind
some of the complexity of the task. I think it's I think that's super important to reinforce. And Phil, I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to say this one thing. Like, typically the people who listen to this podcast, they're very business minded, or they're trying to be more business minded. And that's kind of where I was going with that little sidebar, is like, if you want to be a smart business person, you need to think, how can I constantly hand off things that my skilled people or me are doing that ideally, if someone else could do it, we could achieve more. You need to constantly be thinking like that, always evaluating what those opportunities are. And I think that is what makes the success of the Pave Tool line of products. And I'm not saying this to make a plug for Pave Tool. I know I'm interviewing you guys, but that's not the point. The point is what you just said, Caleb. I can take that scribe, and now someone can, or that gauge, and now someone can finish off the grading of the base or the bedding layer along the garage floor, along the sidewalk, along the front step that's already in place, around the pool deck that's already in place. And I don't have to worry about it. I, as the foreman, can go work on setting the grades up for the next thing that we need to build, or coordinating the delivery that's coming in right now. And I don't need to second guess that that's going to get done wrong. It's not possible. As long as they use the tool exactly the way that I showed them to use the tool, it's going to be perfect. That's so, so, so important. And I'm telling you guys that are listening, if you're looking over the next 5-10 years, the market is going to keep growing. The industry is going to keep growing. If you want your company to grow at that pace or outperform it, this is exactly how you need to think. This is so critical, what we're talking about right now. Phil, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, just building your SOP, your standard operating procedures. And you think of some of these companies that have been extremely successful. You take a McDonald's. I mean, they can bring an individual off the street and have them up and running to full capacity in days. because of their standard operating procedures. And I look at our industry, I'm like, how barbaric can we get? It's like the tasks we're doing are very similar over and over and over again. So we tried to build that within Baylor as our hardscape company, just trying to get guys to do things methodically, the same way, the same tool, the same process, and we train them. And then you could cross reference other people to other jobs and whatnot, and you wouldn't have them doing things differently. That was, years ago, guys would be getting in a fight. We don't do it that way. We do it this way. But if you have those standard operating procedures, everything's being done methodically, the same exact way. The outcome is the same. The quality is the same. The production increases, as the procedures get put in place. And that's what we saw. We ended up with, obviously, a hardscape company that was able to shut down for 4 months without sending out a single bill. And I credit that to our standard operating procedures and our quality. We were able to charge premium prices, and we were able to shut our company down for 4 months without sending out a bill in the winter months. And instead of having to try to find other work, we were just that much more profitable.
It's 100% doable, and your McDonald's reference is so on point. I watched this video on YouTube last week. The channel's Challenge Accepted. It's this girl who she accepts like any challenge. Like it started with a video where she was reenacting Tom Cruise's stunt where he's hanging off the side of the plane from Mission Impossible. She's like, well, if he did it, I can do it. And she trained and she did, and then she actually did it. It's insane. But the next video I watched was she went to work in a restaurant because my wife is from the restaurant industry. She does all the wine lists and everything for a bunch of restaurants around Montreal. And she always jokes, she's like, you'd never survive in a restaurant. I'm like, listen, I could survive. If I could survive on a job site, I can survive in a restaurant.
Yeah.
So we watched this video. And what she does is she goes to McDonald's and she starts right away, like jump right into the fire at McDonald's. And then the next day at a Michelin star restaurant. And you know what they both have in common? Exactly what you said. Extremely clear SOPs and a very strict adherence to those SOPs. And you see exactly how a McDonald's operates from the back end. And she works like every single station, and they have like this superstar manager that's showing her every single step. This is how we do it. And the tools that they use are all specially adapted to doing that. Even the toasting of the bun, the top and the middle and the bottom of a Big Mac, they all have their own specific slot, and they go this specific way. And that gives you the exact same result every single time. And then the next day, she's at the Michelin star restaurant. And the head chef of the Michelin star restaurant, you know where he got his start? At McDonald's. And he applied the same philosophy. This is how we do things every time. And that is the mark of excellence. So whether you want to go the McDonald's route and you want to be pumping out great value walkways and driveways and patios, or you want to be the Michelin star equivalent of hardscaping, you need to be paying attention to exactly what we're talking about here, because that's the difference between a good company and a great company is the consistency at which they execute. That's why when you watch sports, those professional athletes, why are they the professionals? Why do we all gather to watch them and pay tons of money just to have the opportunity to watch them? Is because they have honed their craft to the point where they are such a consistent executor that they are the best of the best. Now, for them, it's skills and ability. In our world, we don't need to be solely dependent on that. We can use tools and processes to bring anybody to that same level of execution. And that's what Pave Tool does.
Exactly right. And utilizing tools like the Multi-6 is what allows you to consistently perform the work every single day. Like we talked about when we started, the heat, the variables of a construction site. We know exactly what it's like out there. We know exactly what you guys are experiencing. And something like this creates the consistency of installation that we've been talking about, that you can count on it, and you can count on the performance that you're going to get out every single day. You can schedule better. You can maintain help. I can't tell the guys that have purchased and invested in a clamp like this, they maintain some of the best help. Their guys love it. They enjoy the installation process.
Why would you go work somewhere else? You get to operate a machine all day, every day. It's fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah. No back labor. I mean, it's literally just set them into place, use a couple pieces, switch them around, easy installation. And again, the tools and equipment that we've created or Phil's created is for that. It's to help you as contractors scale, help your business grow. I go back to some of the comments that you'll get on a post when you put something up and they're like, oh, I can do that by eye. For instance, like the scribing tools, right? I do that by eye.
It's the whole same conversation. You can the new guy do it? No. And you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah,
You're
and
the
I feel
owner
bad.
of the company. Why are you out there streeting and pulling grades by yourself? What are you doing?
Yeah.
So another definition of success is your business running without you there. And any great CEO will tell you that, obviously, and that's really another part of it and another piece of it. If you want to scale your company or grow your company, you need to have the tools and the systems in place.
100%.
So it really is important. And again, it increases profitability, brings better quality, boosts morale, and just really changes the whole perspective of your business overall, really.
Okay. I know there were a couple other things that we wanted to talk about, but I think we hit so many things here. The only other question that I have is, like, realistically, this clamp, I buy it. I use it regularly. How long is it going to last, and how much money am I going to have to put into it over that time frame?
So that's a good question. So the clamp itself, we have clamps on the market that have been out there for 15 plus years. They're still working today. Things you might replace on is a cylinder here and there. Maintenance, very little. The clamps are well built and perform really well. And as far as, when we look at...
They're not new either. Like, this isn't like, well, they've only existed for 15 years.
1978 is when Optima started. It's the oldest tool company in the world for hardscapes. They've perfected this head over the years. Like Caleb said, they really are a bulletproof item. They perfected them, and it really is an amazing piece. And very rarely do we get any calls for anything.
Excellent.
And when you look at, I think we can end on this. When you look at that $66,000 that or $96,000 that you profit off the clamp in 1 year, with it lasting 10 years at least, is $966,000.
It's $1 million
of profit.
It's $1 million. Is how do you turn $30,000 into $1 million? That's it right there.
Maybe I should be selling it as a stock. Stock market.
That would be the best stock in the world. I'll tell you that. But I think, you know what? I think that's even what we're going to call the title of this episode. It's turning $30,000 into $1 million, because that's exactly what this is. That's what good investments do. And it will not take forever. You're instantly going to be getting the upside of that investment. It's not like you bought a stock and now you bought it in your 401k and you're going to wait till you retire. Like, you're getting the upside instantly. And that extra $60,000 in the first year, well, you know what? If you're playing your cards right, maybe you'll want to buy a second one because you'll want to put one on the other crew. And now you got $2 million at the end of 10 years. Like, it's such a no-brainer after this discussion. I don't know why anyone will be waiting. The only reason they would is because they don't have a workflow where they have an excavator hanging around on site all the time. And even then, I would argue, well, maybe it's time to change your workflow.
Include the cost of the machine in there. So say you buy a machine for $60K, the head cost you $30, that's $90. So the first year, okay, you profited $6,000.
Yeah. Or worst
then
case
after that,
flush.
It doesn't take long to pay itself off, even if you throw a machine at the whole deal.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way to look at it too. And then, I mean, for just a common sense way to look at it too, is if you take an individual and you're hiring them to haul your pavers a year, it's going to cost you $40,000, $50,000, whatever you're hiring out at.
So it costs you $50,000, and it's a coin toss as to whether or not he's back next year. So you got to do the whole song and dance again. It's a coin toss if he even finishes the season. And that's not a slight against anyone. That's just the way it is.
Right.
We can get better at it. We can work at it. And we need to work at that and making it better, more interesting, more appealing for people to work in our industry and to thrive in our industry. But that's not going to change overnight. But this type of investment in tools and equipment and adopting technology in your business, those have a faster impact and arguably a better and bigger impact than just constantly hiring. It's right there. We said it all.
The other point I was going to make, though, is obviously Pave Tool has collaborated with Technoblock just in communicating how to lay out the layers of products to even be able to be laid mechanically. And I think you're going to see a huge change, over the next 5 years of just different products being developed that automatically will be able to be mechanically laid.
Yeah,
because it is the 100%. Way of the future. You're going to see
it's an
that
ongoing conversation on our side when we're developing products. How do we set this by machine? That we're working on the showcase project for next year. We're already talking about Phil. I sent you a couple other samples that we're going to discuss offline here, but a couple other samples so that we can test out a couple other things for machine setting. But it's not the future; it's the now. It's the present. Yeah. We need to be all over this, guys. If I want to get information like that, like all the different products that can be handled by the clamp and the laying patterns and all that stuff, I want to learn more about the clamp. I want to buy the clamp. Maybe I want to demo the clamp. What is the best way for me to proceed?
The best way to proceed is obviously get in touch with us. We want to be able to help you understand exactly your business. So info@Pave Tool is a great email to send in to get information on it. Pavetool.com. We have a text message there that you can, text us about anything you want, or call our main number, 860-870-8665. We want to be able to help you guys. We want to make you more profitable. That's our mission at Pave Tool. We want to help.
Well, I want to thank you for the time. I want to thank you also for continuing to open my eyes on the opportunity here. I'm really fired up about this, in case you couldn't tell, but it's so much a no-brainer. Like I said, we've been talking about this for years, but I think it just finally clicked. Like it's $1 million.
Right.
What are you waiting for? I feel like this is an infomercial. Like, pick up the phone now, call Pave Tool, get your clamp now. I don't know what you're waiting for. Waiting for.
Operators are standing by.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. And until next time, everyone, work hard, pave harder, and we'll see you next time on the Hardscape Growth Podcast. You've been listening to Hardscape Growth, a podcast for hungry professionals who want to grow their businesses and level up. Each episode is all about taking the next step in running your business, so make sure you never miss a show by subscribing on your favorite podcast player. And if you're finding this information to be useful, help others in your position discover us by giving us a star rating and leaving a comment. We'll see you next week.